A so-called freedom convoy.
So-called freedom convoy.
We've heard it called a nationwide insurrection.
A threat to democracy, an insurrection, sedition.
The police chief is calling it a nationwide insurrection.
This city is under siege. They are now calling it an occupation.
What we are facing today is a threat to our democratic institutions, to our economy, and to peace, order, and good government in Canada. This is unacceptable. It cannot stand, and it will not stand.
The small fringe minority holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
In a rare and aggressive move, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoking the Emergencies Act to crack down on anti-vaccine mandate protests.
If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order.
Canada is a rule of law country. By declaring a public order emergency under the Emergencies Act, we are following the law, and we are acting within it. There are clear conditions set out.
We're not using the Emergencies Act to call in the military.
Canada's reputation is indeed at risk. We need to show the world proactively that we won't let this happen again. Our trade corridors will remain open. We should think about putting the military in place to keep the border crossings moving, even after the protesters were removed, to send a clear signal. And your response, though, here is couldn't agree more with those points. We must make clear that, one, we will resolve this, and two, we won't let this happen again. So can you explain your response there? And were you agreeing there that bringing the military to patrol the borders was a viable option?
No.
Okay.
It was, I mean, look, if you look at that.
The exchange goes on to talk, you say, and the CAF if necessary. Mr. Mendicino writes, how many tanks are you asking for? I just want to ask Anita how many we've got on hand. You respond, I reckon one will do. On February 2nd, or at any other point, were you seriously suggesting that CAF be brought in, or that there be tanks brought in to Ottawa to deal with the situation?
No.
We're not suspending fundamental rights or overriding the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Justice Richard Mosley ruled that the federal government violated two sections of the Charter. Freezing bank accounts was an unreasonable search and seizure, and the nationwide order to stop protesting violated the right to free expression.
We are not limiting people's freedom of speech. We are not limiting freedom of peaceful assembly. We are not preventing people from exercising their right to protest legally.
The federal court this week ruled against the government and their invocation of the Emergencies Act to clear out the 2022 convoy in Ottawa. The judge, handing the decision down, concluded the invocation, quote, does not bear the hallmarks of reasonableness and was not justified in relation to the relevant factual and legal constraints that were required to be taken into consideration.
We do not agree with this decision, and respectfully, we will be appealing it. It was a hard decision to take. We took it very seriously, very seriously.
So you're confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate?
After a lot of hard work, after a lot of careful deliberation.
If someone asked you, when did the Emergencies Act come into play as a possibility, how would you answer that?
As an idea, it would have been from the very beginning.
The public safety of Canadians was under threat.
The fact that there was not yet any serious violence that had been noted was obviously a good thing.
Trampling horses! Stop it! Oh my God!
Our national security, which includes our national economic security was under threat.
But you agree that public assembly and the right to protest goes beyond simply me standing on a green lawn in front of a government building, that it does encompass more than that, and that Canada should protect that to be a vibrant democracy.
Do you agree with you that in a democracy, the right to protest is important and has to be protected? And yeah, that's such an obvious statement, and I agree with that, and I agree, since it's obvious, I'll say it, and I won't gild the lily. We were convinced at the time, I was convinced at the time, it was the right thing to do.
And if you scroll down to the last paragraph, it says, Minister Lametti further explained that the determination as to the existence of a national emergency was a political one. It was formed on the basis of factual inputs from implicated government departments, including PCO, and legal opinions provided by the DOJ.
So when I say a political one, I mean it's a decision made by political actors, but it's not a political decision in the sense that I think you were understanding it.
Okay.
It was the necessary thing to do. I remain, and we remain, convinced of that.